Try to get the sound there. Welcome, friends gathered in the sanctuary, on Zoom, and later on our YouTube channel. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Franklin, to the Smoky Mountains of Western North Carolina and Northeast Georgia, and the ancestral home of the Cherokee people. We are a lay-led congregation of progressive minds and caring connections for over 53 years now. My name is Jude Lowry, and I'm delighted to be your service leader this morning. We extend a warm welcome to visitors. I see a couple people I don't know, but it could be my memory. We're thankful that you're here with us for the first time today or returning after a while. We look forward to getting to know you better. There will be an opportunity later for you to introduce yourself if you'd like to, no pressure. And you can sign up for our newsletter. There's a guest book in the foyer. You can sign up for the newsletter and add your information there. And if you're on Zoom, you can add your information in the chat box, and we'll make sure we get it picked up. As we gather each Sunday, we take a moment just to greet each other on Zoom and here in the sanctuary. We're known as the Roomies, and they're known as the Zoomies out in the Zoom world. So, Roomies, that's us. Rise and body your spirit if you are able to wave hello and stand for the gathering song, which is 123 in the gray hymnal. The camera's right there over the window, and we can wave to them, and then I'm going to step down here and we're going to sing. If you're visiting, it's 123 in the gray book, Spirit of Life. And we do a little bit of a sign language thing, and there's a Spanish version today because we've got the zippy one. The zippy one.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí y al corazón cántale compasión. Sopla al volar, sube la mar hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí.
Intentionally, we're trying. And now, this simple act of connection reminds us that despite our distances, we are all part of one loving community. Our fellowship is a light for liberal religion in the mountains and it values diversity and the richness that it brings to our community. Our celebration of diversity is reflected in the variety of our Sunday services. In addition to different topics, the service sequence and length can vary. A little bit about our speaker. Our perspective matters. It shapes how we see the world around us. We'll consider how we see others and look through the lens of rural life, including empathy, mental health, resiliency, and poverty, which is more than just about money. This service is titled From Reaction to Relationship by Reverend Don Martin of the Hinton Rural Life Center. We hope that today's service enriches your journey of discovery. We're going to first start with a story for all ages, and the story this morning is called When I Care About Others by Cornelia, Maud, and Sarah's going to share that with us. And I think we have a video of it as well. It'll be shown on the big screen for your viewing enjoyment, and that's going to be followed by a presentation by Elise about the chalice the children have been working on, and then we'll sing them out a cappella. But let me get the microphone set up for Sarah.
Hey, August.
See how that works.
Hello. Hi. August, come here. I want you to sit and pay attention, okay?
Watch the story.
Oh, he wants to see this from here. When I Care About Others,
Written
by Cornelia Maud Spellman.
Good morning. Here's the secret box. So, as we close our first month with the youth program, woohoo! The youth leaders, we really felt it was important for the youth to create and have and claim their own chalice to light and extinguish each week. And so we were studying the cup of light, and we also went over the Unitarian Universalist symbol. I cannot impress upon you guys how cool this is that the kids did. We helped them get it a little grammatically correct, but this is their words. For the lighting of their chalice, they are going to be saying, "The chalice we light is a symbol of our faith that connects us together as one people with strong purpose." Right? And I have to say, Jubilee had a lot to do with our extinguishing phrase, which is, even though we are extinguishing this flame, the light of our friendship will remain. Right? The youth had the opportunity to choose from 5 different chalices, and very democratically and very much with a democratic process and democracy process, they had to pick one chalice that represented this group, and then they had to talk about how they were going to decorate it and why. You ready for the big reveal? Ooh. Oh. Okay. So the youth chose this all on their own, and all of the clear stones, can we see them? All of the clear stones represent open-mindedness and learning leadership. Red, and I have to say August had a lot to do with how it was a smiley face, stands for love and helping others. The blue is peer leadership and learning how to lead with intention. The green is nature, taking care of Mother Earth, as well as nurturing and taking care of themselves. And as Charisma pointed out, the vine is representing the growth that starts on the base. The purple, of course I have Mardi Gras beads. The purple is spirit, both of others and self, and seeking what that is for you on an individual basis. And then yellow is in the foundational part and goes around the cup, and it represents happiness. Isn't that cool? Give them a big hand. So today, please, in Celebration Hall, talk to the kids and the youth and ask them what their intention was. We're going to be decorating it so you guys can see it down there. And know that the focus was all about creating unity within this body, and I think you guys did a great job.
And now we're going to sing the children out a cappella with our song, Go Now in Peace. So when you're ready, go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Okay, great, great, great. Great, great, great. So they're having a great time and learning wonderful things and making quality time on Sunday. So that's terrific. Our chalice lighting this morning, we are not automatic lovers of self, others, or the world. Love does not just happen. We gather here today to move from reaction to relationship. Love is a choice, a willingness to be present to others without pretense or guile. As we light this chalice, let us consciously lay down our need to be right, to react, or to defend. Let us open our hearts to the vulnerable, life-giving work of being in deep relationship with each other. Welcome to this common sacred space. Common because we are all welcome. Sacred because here we transform our raw, knee-jerk reactions into the profound art of relationship. A creed creates an us and them, but a covenant, which we have, invites us into relationship. Let us set aside our assumptions and defensiveness. In this hour, may we practice the courage to listen, the grace to forgive, and the patience required to truly understand one another and the people in the community. Our opening song is Love Will Guide Us. So you've heard a little bit about the service today, but let me tell you some about Reverend Dawn Martin. She's Minister of Mission Outreach and Engagement at Hinton Rural Life Center, joining the staff in August of 2016. She moved to the mountains of Hayesville, North Carolina from a small town in the rolling hills of southeast Ohio. Dawn has worked with people in poverty for more than 20 years and is a certified trainer through Bridges Out Poverty, both youth and adult mental health first aid, and is a resiliency champion. She also facilitates the narrative story exchange. Dawn is an ordained deacon in the United Methodist Church. She has a passion for helping people consider their own perspective and have a better understanding of what it might be like to walk in someone else's shoes. Dawn enjoys spending time with her husband, Aaron, and their 2 furry kids, dogs. Reading, coffee, and creative dabbling such as acrylic and watercolor painting, playing ukulele, writing, and crocheting. Sounds like a kindred sister from another mother, but just saying. And now let us welcome Reverend Dawn Martin and her sermon, From Reaction to Relationship.
Good morning. It is so good to be here with you today. I just have to say I love the sign language. So ever since COVID back in 2020, At Hinton, we have youth and adult volunteer groups that come to go out in the community to do home repairs. And summer is our chaos busy time. We're getting ready to start week 2 today of summer. And one of the things we incorporated back during COVID was when we were not able to sing together as a group, we learned interpretive sign language to a couple songs. I fell in love with that, so we still do it to this day. We have one song that fits our theme for summer, which is Rooted and Grounded, and so that made my heart so happy. So I love it. It's awesome. We're going to start off with a little bit of an activity this morning, one that I think is pretty fun, and it's definitely enlightening. So in a moment on the screen, there should be a picture of squares. And I'm going to invite you to count the number of squares that you see on the screen. So count the number of squares. Keep that number to yourself. And I'll give you just a few moments to count. All right. If you're still counting, it's okay. So how many of you counted more than 25? Show of hands if you counted more than 25. Okay, got some of my people in the room. How about somewhere between 10 and 20? Anybody? Okay. 5 to 10? Less than 5? Oh, yes, okay. How many of you said there are none? 0. Any zeros? Okay, awesome, great. Well, we have a variety. I think I saw hands in every single category I just named. And I always love doing this activity with groups, no matter what the setting, because we all tend to come up with a totally different number of squares every time we do it. You see, it depends on how each one of us defines a square. Now, I'm not talking about the actual definition of a square, but how did you interpret and see a square this morning? How did you define the instructions? As you heard, I'm a creative, artsy type of person. So for me, I go, they're square-ish, and I count every single combination available. It's good enough. It works. But for some of you, you might only have counted ones that appeared to be an actual square, equal on all sides. For others, you might have thought, I need a tape measure to determine which ones, if any, I can count as a square. So there's no right or wrong answer, although I'm in the 25 plus group because they're square-ish, they count. So this might frustrate you. I know it does sometimes. But I have one more activity for us. And this one, I want you to put on your best imagination hat and do it kind of with your mind's eye. If you have pencil and paper, that's great, but you don't really need it. You can use your imagination. So now I want you to draw a square with 3 lines. So in your mind, how would you draw a square with 3 lines? And I'm going to give you a minute to ponder that. So this assignment was a little vague. How did you interpret it? Some folks will imagine maybe having a piece of paper. So if I have a piece of paper, which I do have, and draw 3 lines, making the 4th the bottom of the paper. Square with 3 lines. Some will come up with some wonky version of a square and pull a Dawn. They'll say, it's square-ish, right? It counts. Some people will say it's impossible and not even attempt it. Or some people will draw an entire square with 4 lines and 3 separate lines, either inside or outside of it. It's a square with 3 lines, right? You see, the instructions didn't say draw a square using only 3 lines. But how many of us interpret it that way? First time I did it, that's how I interpreted it. It said draw a square with 3 lines. Again, it's how we hear it and how we interpret it. Now, I'm not here this morning to debate over geometry or what constitutes a square. You do not want me to do that. But these are good examples of perspective. Perspective, the way we see things. Merriam-Webster gives us multiple definitions of perspective, including a mental view or prospect to gain a broader perspective on some sort of scene. Maybe a visible scene, giving distinctive impression of distance, like a vista. Or maybe it's an interrelation in which a subject or its parts are mentally viewed, which places the issues in proper perspective, kind of like our point of view. Or we might think of the appearance to the eye of objects in respect to their relative distance and positions. There's our artsy photographer's creativity side. But what's interesting to me is that no matter the definition, whether it's a physical perspective or how you draw something, or the way we're mentally thinking of it, it comes down to how we see things. Perspective is about how we see things. And it's developed through a variety of means. How we're raised, experiences that we've had, either good or bad or neutral, what we were taught, where we're from, even how we're feeling in any given moment. Have you ever tried to go to the store and think of something and your perspective shifts because you're tired or you feel rushed or you're stressed? Or maybe you're joyful, so you see things a different way. Our perspective shapes the way we look at everything. It's the lens in which we view other people, groups of people, situations. Now, in our human nature, we're so good at jumping to conclusions, aren't we? We like to fill in the gaps of things we don't know, reacting to other people and everything that's going on around us. We live in a world that's quick to judge, one that makes assumptions and likes to stereotype and divide and place things in a hierarchy of our own choosing. This isn't a new thing. We see the pattern all throughout history. Jesus himself speaks to parables about this in the Bible. But when we factor in today's world with social media, I think we have this new wave of snap judgments, comments that so easily divide and destroy. We can literally say anything to anyone in a post and do it without even thinking about the consequences or the person on the other side of the screen. Again, not necessarily a new problem, but one that's been heightened by the ease of technology. Friends, we need to shift the pendulum from reaction to relationship, because relationships are the only way we can actually make a real change in our community, our country, and the world in which we live. Authentic relationships. Ones that challenge us to move from a place of I'm right and you're wrong to understanding where other people are coming from and accepting them for who they are in that very moment. That can be a little difficult, to say the least, because again, all of us come from different places and with different experiences. I want to share a story with you that a friend of mine, Nora, shares. So she had an experience of being in a classroom with a bunch of elementary age students. Nora showed them 2 different pictures. The first photo was of a house that was really nice. multi-story with a nice 2 or 3 car garage, obviously well taken care of, nice manicured lawn, gardens, and you could even see that there was a pool in the fenced-in backyard. So she asked the kiddos to tell her about the child who lived in that home. And a lot of little hands went up, and Nora shares that she learned that the boy that lived in that house was kind. Everybody wanted to be his friend. His parents threw the best birthday parties. He was a good student. He got really good grades and never got into trouble. Next, Nora showed the children a photo of a house that was very different than the first. It was run down. There was paint peeling and shingles hanging from the roof. The yard was really overgrown, and you could see some stuff piled on the porch that was missing some of its railings. Again, Nora asked the kiddos to tell her about the kid that lived in that home. Eager responses shared that he was mean. Nobody wanted to be his friend. He didn't get good grades. And he was always getting into trouble at school. She goes on to share in her story that she noticed a young boy who kind of drew up within himself and put his head down as the kids shared about the second boy. She knew that he lived in a house that was more like the second photo than the first. So she goes on to tell the children that she grew up in a home that was very much like the second picture. And then Nora asked them, "Do you think I'm stupid? Am I mean? Would you want to be my friend?" Of course, the kids were quick to say, "Oh no, Miss Nora, we're sorry, we didn't mean it." And the more she talked with them, she could see the boy who was withdrawn start to smile at her. Kids are so honest. But I think if we're being truthful, some of their responses to the 2 different homes might be some of what we think when we see certain things. It's easy for us to judge, to speculate, even when we don't know the full story. Nora goes on to share that what we need to be so careful of is to not overlook the little Noras of the world, those who live differently than we do. I love this story. In fact, Nora is the author of a book called Diamonds in the Dew, an Appalachian Experience, and I highly recommend it for you. Nora Stanger, Diamonds in the Dew. And I've been blessed to get to know her over the years, and she's one of my favorite humans that I've been privileged to call a friend, because she shares about her life growing up in rural poverty. But she also gives insight on ways that we can make a difference in the lives of others. As you heard earlier, I work at the Hinton Center over in Hayesville, and I oversee our mission outreach and ministries, and I actually discerned my own call into ministry at a similar, smaller nonprofit in Ohio, where our summer program was modeled after Hinton. Kind of full circle that I ended up here. And we're a conference and retreat center located on Lake Chautauqua, so it's beautiful, of course. But we also reach out to our neighbors through safe and healthy housing. We have these youth and adult volunteers who go out into the community to work on homes like that second picture, with accessibility ramps, porches, stairs, painting, yard work. So as you can imagine, we do sometimes find ourselves in homes that look like the second photo. But we also know that poverty doesn't always look that way. One of the things that we're intentional about doing is taking each request for help on a case-by-case basis. Now, unfortunately, there are some things we can't do because we do work with volunteers. But there's a lot of work that we can complete. And we don't want to wait until someone's home is falling down around them. We want to be proactive and preventative. One example that comes to mind is a home we worked on a few years ago. It looked like your typical middle-class home. Not as nice as that first picture with like the pool and all the bling at the house, but it was a decent home, and from a distance, it looked like it didn't need any work. But we learned that the steps were starting to give. Have you ever stepped down on steps, like wooden steps that are starting to give? That's pretty dangerous, right? And the couple that lived in the home were on fixed income, they were retired, and the husband used to do all of his own repairs. In fact, I think he was an electrician or some kind of specialty. But he had gotten older, wasn't physically able to do the repairs anymore. His wife had fallen a few times on those sagging stairs. We also found out that they had dipped into their savings to help an adult child out of some situation. So they couldn't afford to hire someone to come fix their steps. If we would have just looked at the outside view, we may have concluded a very different scenario than what was actually going on in the household. Because we wouldn't have known all the details. And we may have been quick to judge or fill in the gaps of, well, their house is nice, they can afford to take care of it. At Hinton, we also spend a lot of time talking about walking alongside our neighbors and doing so in ways that give dignity to others. We spend a lot of time considering our perspective. We encourage conversations and relationship building. We know that there's not a quick fix for poverty, and that for folks who are living in poverty, they face a lot of challenges. I think of it kind of like an onion, where you continue to uncover layers of all the things that might be connected. Undiagnosed or untreated or maybe undertreated mental health challenges, physical limitations, isolation, transportation issues, especially in a rural area, being under-resourced, feeling like or not really having a voice, feelings of shame, powerlessness, so many things. We also unpack what we call the tyranny of the moment. So have you ever had one of those days where you get out of bed and something goes wrong, and then something else goes wrong, and by the end of the morning, you're like, why did I even get out of bed? I should restart, hit a restart button, start over. Well, tyranny of the moment's kind of like that. So it's the cycle that starts usually with something external that happens that then seems to impact everything else that happens. So it's a cycle that's really hard to get out of. One example might be somebody's driving to work and they get a flat tire. Again, we're in the rural mountains. They may not have self-service to call anybody. So they're there a while until someone else comes by, helps them with their flat tire. Maybe they work at a job where they have hourly wages, so they're late to work. They may get in trouble or even lose their job for that. If they're lucky enough to keep their job, they don't have as much income because they've missed part of a day and they've had to pay to get a tire repaired. That may then mean that they can't fully pay their rent or their mortgage. But then they figure out if they don't pay their electric bill, maybe they can go ahead and make the mortgage payment or the rent payment, but then they're behind on their electric, right? You can see how things start to unravel. It can be hard for any of us if we're in that situation, but if we're living like paycheck to paycheck or struggling with making ends meet, one thing can change the trajectory of our coming months or even years. It can be so hard to get out of the cycle. And yet, we also honor the resiliency and the tenacity that can come through living through hard times. And we remind ourselves again and again to check our perspective, to try not to other people who may be on a very different life journey than we are, to not put ourselves up here and others that we're helping down here, to remember that every person has worth and value, and to remember that at any given time, we too might be facing some sort of poverty or lack of resource. So one way to think of it I'm going to invite you to look at your hand with me for a moment. Hang in there, I promise it's worth it. So when we think of our hand, wave your thumb, wiggle your thumb. So this represents physical resources or physical poverty. And it's because we use a thumb to like open doorknobs and navigate through things. Physical resources might be getting older, like that couple I shared that needed their stairs repaired and he wasn't able to do the work at his home anymore. It might be a person living with a disability. It might be going through something like if you've ever broken an arm or a leg and it takes you 3 times as long to do anything because you're not used to doing it that way. So that's a physical resource or physical poverty. Your pointer finger represents spiritual, and that might be a faith community or belief in a higher power, but it also might be a lack of hope and goodness in the world. Unfortunately, when you're in it, when you're going through things, sometimes hope can be really hard to find. Now, do not hold up your middle finger by itself. We always have to tell the youth this because, there will be one. Bet you can't guess what it represents. Emotional, wonder why. But this is our resilience level. So it might be stress on any given day, how we cope, what we've been going through, and how it impacts our emotional state. Your ring finger is mental or cognitive resource or poverty. This might be somebody's ability to learn. It could be if someone is experiencing a mental health challenge, but it's also access to resources and what type of schools are in the community. Again, we know in rural areas, particularly lower income, schools may not have as many resources or funding opportunities, which then you know how that impacts people as they grow up. And finally, wave your little pinky. That represents financial, because it's the smallest finger we have. It reminds us that it's not just about money, that all of these resources are very important, and that any given time, we may be lacking in one of them. The palm of your hand, we look at that as our relationships, so social capital, bridging or bonding. So bonding relationships are those close friends, family members, community that we have when we gather together, people we need to help us find hope sometimes and to help us get along. Bridging social capital or bridging relationships, those are people who help us get ahead. Maybe think back to the first time you had to write a resume or apply for a job or apply to go to college. Somebody that kind of takes you by the hand and says, let me help you with that. Let's do a mock interview so you know what to expect. It could be a coach, it could be a person of faith, it could be a neighbor, anybody that helps us take the next step. We talk about this because we all have times when we find ourselves under-resourced. And the gift of looking at it is it helps remind us that we can have more empathy for other people because we can recognize that maybe we've been there. We can relate. It's not something that just affects other people. It's a human experience. It's shared humanity. And it helps us move from this reaction to relationship. And we do have a slide that kind of shows, so these are your fingers of your hand with all the different resources. And then the next slide should be our relationship, reaction to relationship. All right, so we're trying to move ourselves from making those snap judgments. I've been in this work, if you heard, over 20 years. I don't know where the time goes, but it is so easy to see something and judge it. Right? I think we're just human. That's how we're wired. But instead of judging people for the situation they're in, we want to move towards acceptance for seeing the person first, regardless of what's going on around them. See the person first. We want to move ourselves from making those assumptions to having a spirit of curiosity, pausing the story that we're telling ourselves, and actually asking questions. listening to the story that other people have to share. We want to move ourselves from just questioning why to a place of compassion, caring about who people are and not why they're in the situation they're in. We've all heard the questions of, well, why can't they just get a better job? Or why don't they have better education, right? We hear this all the time. That's not the point. The point is to accepting people for who they are. And finally, it moves us from sympathy, which is okay in certain situations, to empathy. It helps us to step closer, to listen deeply, to know that we matter and how we treat other people matters. Again, to know that all people have worth and value. Friends, it's been a joy to be here with you this morning, and for those in the room, the roomies and the zoomies, we would love to have you come visit us at Hinton sometime. I also have more resources that I'd be happy to share if you're interested in the time we can talk after. I'm sure you can tell by now this is kind of my thing, it's my passion. So I want to thank you for taking time to journey alongside me this morning. Thank you.
Reverend Dawn, thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing that. I can really appreciate the empathy and love you put into your work, so thank you for being here. As we prepare for our time of connecting, including announcements, introductions, thank yous, and joys and concerns, please know that all that will be edited out so that the private information will not be on YouTube as part of our service. As a lay-led congregation, we appreciate all our volunteers, including our Sunday service team that makes wonderful things happen for us to be able to Zoom out to our members at home. Warren, Ben, Edgar, Penny out on Zoom. Thank you, Claire, for editing and getting the services up on YouTube. And our greeters today, Bill was our greeter today, thank you. Hospitality downstairs, Dana, Karen, and Jeff, and help from Charisma and Harmony. As you might notice, we can use some extra volunteer help with hospitality and with greeters, so please feel free to take one turn every so often doing that with us. We are grateful for all the diverse gifts of time and talent and treasure. All the financial donations are appreciated, whether you make those in person. We have a collection plate at the back, by mail, by PayPal. We've got a celebration jar up here, and we've also got coffee donations downstairs for social hour. Join with me in reciting our commitment for our donations. Gifts given in love and hope, continuous cycle of love and hope. Now we're going to go into announcements. Let's check on Zoom and see if we have any announcements on Zoom. If you have announcement of concern to the fellowship, you can line up here by the piano to come up to the walk-up mic. One last pebble as we hold what has been shared, as well as joys and concerns that are perhaps too tender to voice right now. We have members who are struggling with their help and health, and keep them in your thoughts. We are not alone in any of this, and remember that we belong to one another. So now I'm going to invite you into a minute of silence to meditate on the things that have been said, to reflect, pray, or simply sit in community with one another, and I'll bring you back with the chime. Thank you. Our closing song is When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. If you'd like to sing along, it is in the Teal book, and it is number 1008 in the little Teal hymnal.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and color, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with our loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of stands within, and we hear the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Sorry. Our closing words. No matter how weak or how frightened we may feel, we each have gifts that can make a difference in the world. In this coming week, may you do at least one thing to support the broken, to welcome the stranger, to do the work of love. Go forth with courage, knowing you are never alone. As we extinguish our chalice flame, we carry its light with us into a wider world. Let us go forth into the week ahead with spirits uplifted and hearts enlivened. May the strength we found in this communal hour sustain us as we share our burdens, lift our neighbors, and build the common good. Amen, and blessed be. We know you have many options on where you could be and what you could be doing on a Sunday morning, and we are deeply grateful that you chose to be in community with us. Following our service, we will invite both our roomies and zoomies to explore and share the mysteries and curiosities that we've discovered in today's service. We'll ask Dawn to make, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm blind and clumsy all at the same time. But we'll ask Dawn, Reverend Dawn, to make her way back to the tech table in a moment to see if the Zoomies have any questions. And visitors, some of our more extroverted members can be found downstairs with a red cup, so you'll find folks that are easy to chat with if you'd like to do that. Now, next Sunday, we welcome Artie Hartzell I might not be saying that name totally right, in a sermon titled Being Sanctuary. We all need places where we feel a sense of belonging. How can we provide sacred safety for trans people under increased attacks? Please rise if you are able, in body or in spirit, and join our circle around the sanctuary for our covenant with each other. If you are not able to rise, we will make the circle come to you. Don't you worry. And on the screen, but you know, it all works. It all works. And I'll be saying it from up here so our Zoomy brothers and sisters can hear us. There's our circle forming. Sometimes it's amoeba-ish, but it's okay. It's all right. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and community is its goal. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And a squeeze and a couple of shakes always makes the magic better. Go in peace. The service has ended.